We are all God, but we're pretending we're not. As a Christian pastor, I find this concept intriguing. It may surprise you, but the idea of the Trinity is present not only in the Christian tradition, but also in the Hindu tradition. The concept of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit is mirrored in figures like Krishna, Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu. This idea of the divine being in a relationship is found in several spiritual traditions, where it is understood that the creative energy and consciousness of the divine separate from itself to reflect back on itself, resulting in a third entity known as the Spirit. In this framework, God conceives, the Spirit creates, and the universe experiences. We can also find this Trinitarian image within ourselves as unique manifestations of the underlying consciousness that gives rise to and sustains reality. However, we pretend not to be aware of this truth. This pretense is part of the game, part of the divine experience of creative expression where the universe becomes the playground for the divine. I had a near-death experience, NDE, during a hospital church service while dealing with a type of cancer called pheochromocytoma. The tumor I had caused a chemical imbalance that was triggered by public speaking, leading to the cancer bursting during my sermon. I jokingly say that I put people unconscious on Sunday mornings, but it wasn't a pleasant experience for me to collapse as the minister. I lost consciousness and suddenly found myself transformed into a different reality. In this new dimension, I felt fully integrated and connected. I was on a grassy hill, and at the top was a tree that I desired with all my being. I wanted to reach that tree because I knew that if I did, I would never return to this reality. In that moment, I felt one with every blade of grass, the tree, and the light that filtered through its branches. That light was love itself. From that experience, my new creed became, God is love, as these two concepts are synonymous. Our task is to become love and realize that we are love. Our spirituality is defined not so much by our beliefs, but by how we love, which breaks down all barriers. During my NDE, I encountered a masculine being who felt like my best friend. He was infinitely powerful, graceful, kind, and compassionate. We walked and talked about my life. He told me that I couldn't stay there and had to go back because I had more work to do. Despite his words, all I wanted was to stay, and I kept urging him to run to the tree with me. However, he insisted that I had to return. One important aspect I want to discuss, particularly relevant to this workshop, is the concept of ego identity. In that realm, I didn't have an ego in the same way as I do here. I still had an identity, and I was very much human in form, walking on grass in a reality that felt more real than this one. I had thoughts and desires, and communication was instantaneous from consciousness to consciousness. I experienced joy, elation, and sadness, fully embracing the human dimensions of the experience. At the same time, I felt authentic, transparent, and integrated in a way I had never experienced before. As I speak with you now, part of me is not fully present. I'm reflecting on my words, thinking about the slides, and wondering about logistical details. I'm not completely engaged in the moment. Additionally, there are aspects of my subconscious that I'm not even aware of, making me realize that I'm not fully integrated. However, during my NDE, I was whole, which is essentially what salvation means, being more complete than ever before. When the being told me I had to go back, my heart sank. He assured me that they would be with me and that we would meet again. Suddenly, I was back in this reality, and all those profound experiences receded and became buried in my subconscious. The limitations of my brain and thoughts couldn't contain that state, so it had to be suppressed. It takes about 10 years for adults to gradually integrate a near-death experience, and it slowly resurfaced within me. I descended back into this compressed form, hearing the voices of the nurses and doctors checking on me. My ego kicked in, and I felt shame for passing out in front of everyone. I was embarrassed, as I had passed out multiple times before due to the tumor. I apologized and expressed my regret. They wrapped me in a blanket, checked my vitals, and sent me home, unaware of the pheochromocytoma. That night, I crawled into bed and grieved. I wept myself to sleep, yearning for that state of wholeness and love once again, not knowing what to do with it. Despite being a minister, I didn't share this experience with anyone for years. It led to existential dissonance, not just cognitive dissonance, integrating such an experience as a part of my journey here. In the hospital, and I'm grateful for it, I've had cancer 4 times and survived. I've had a near-death experience, spiritually transformative encounters with angels, and received guidance. All of these experiences tell me that despite our flaws and the ridiculous nature of our ego identities, they serve a purpose, and nothing will be wasted. Therefore, let us be wise and compassionate with our egos, learning how to work with them.